Hi guys, Asmo here, and today I'm gonna talk a little bit about my league start and how I got Mageblood in less than a week. Week 1 Mageblood with a mechanic that everyone before the league started kept saying that is nerfed basically to the ground. A lot of people have been talking about heist before the league started, saying how the removal of the alternate quality gems is completely gutting the main thing that brought profit to the heisters. And the thing is, the only people who are saying that are the people who actually don't really understand heist. Heist is just as good as before, if only like maybe a little bit slightly better. I think it's like slightly better or the same as before. And depending on the economy, it can become even better depending on different bases and different items becoming more expensive, because majority of the stuff that you get at the end is actually not that valuable and the main profit comes from other sources. So I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But first, I'm going to describe my strategy. Then I'm going to talk about the differences between the old heist versus the new heist, something which a lot of people have been asking me. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the build and what I used to basically execute this strategy with. So number one was the strategy, which was basically get to level 60, start buying contracts. Then I did my third lab, and before killing Kitava, did the contracts until basically like level 70. This allows you to get a little bit of extra chaos. You get like a couple of hundred chaos or a little bit more, and you are able to buy whatever you need to progress the character. So what you do is usually you get like a quill rain, or in my case, I got actually a 5-link bow that had 6% movement speed implicit, and then I basically crafted it with an essence for +2 to level of socketed bow gems, and bench crafted chaos multi on it from the bench, and that's it. That's basically that was the bow that I used until I crafted this. The rest of the character is super simple. I'm gonna have a POE in the description, but if you've watched my guides from the 321, the build is very similar. The main differences actually come from the new ascendancy, because the new ascendancy that I picked during leveling, this is what I got in Act 3, was the Oath of the Magi, and it felt really good to have this extra bonus movement speed by not using anything in my boots. I had 2 green linked sockets in my boots, so whenever I was doing single target encounters such as fighting Dominus, or I was doing lab and fighting Izaro, I would put in this my Mana Forge setup. So I would have Mana Forge and Frenzy when I needed the extra single target damage. But whenever I was just running through the campaign, I had this empty, so I had the extra 30% movement speed, and it felt really good having this like option of fluidly changing between like large amount of extra damage versus large amount of extra movement speed. So that was very nice. Didn't struggle on sockets, even though I thought it would be a little bit harder, but it was completely fine. Then in Heist, after farming a little bit of currency, I got the setup, which has the Ascent from the Flesh. Actually, today I corrupted this and randomly got 8% maximum life. Then we have also the 3-step Assault. This is all like 1C uniques. Got like cheap Queen of the Forest without even linking it. Actually, you don't want to have it linked. Then we got Devotos, which also was super cheap. And then we've got like resistance on my rings, resistance on the gloves. And then this is an amulet I found on the ground. Just like found it on the ground, and I think this was from a betrayal encounter, and it gave me the -2 the mana cost. I was like, okay, -2 mana cost, damage over time multiplier, strength, that's all I need right now. And I allocated the freedom of movement, which is a very cheap anoint. It costs only the clear oil and the sepia oil and the violet, or whatever it's called. So basically like, yeah, clear sepia violet, it says so. And we're using Mark of Submission. Part of it is because I want the maximum damage, right, from the curse. It's a curse on hit with maximum effectiveness. But another reason is that it also gives me the extra socket so that I can keep the boots empty and still use everything else, right? I'm thinking of like a high budget version would maybe use like Ornate Quiver, but probably you would change the ascendancy from the Warden to the one with the charms and extra bag space. That would be also a very good ascendancy if you wanted to like progress this character further. And then the few things that I invested into this character beyond like the first like 50k setup would be, of course, the cluster jewels, which I bought very early, the Unholy Grace, Unwavering Evil, and Wicked Pal. I bought this for, I think it was 100 chaos when I bought it. Let's see, how much does it cost now? It costs like 60-70 chaos, so it's even cheaper now. It's a very big upgrade. Then I was running Enduring Composure and also Sublime Form, because we lose the enchant, so we don't have the Grace reservation or Determination or Malevolence reservation enchant 100% anymore. So we have to run a small cluster jewel, and this also gives us some extra resistances. And then there's one difference in pathing as opposed to where I was pathing before, because before we were pathing either here for another cluster jewel setup, or we were pathing here and picking up like growth and decay and perhaps the atrophy. These are also good nodes to pick up. But in this case, we're going to the duration straight away. The new changes to Toxic Rain, the new gems make it so that you can actually scale the duration a little bit better. The Toxic Rain base duration is 0.2 seconds longer, so you get more benefit by scaling duration because you're scaling a longer base. And then also we're also using the Toxic Rain of Withering for our Wither setup. So we have 3 totems, each of them shooting 5 projectiles. So if you have 5 arrows with the right AoE of 39%, or at least like as close to 39% as you can, you're going to be overlapping 4 or 5 times. And when you're overlapping 5 times with 3 ballistas, that means with 1 attack, you're getting 15 withers, right? Because this is just guaranteed wither on hit. This is way better. This is 6 times faster than we had with the withering step, right? There's a lot of like different stuff that's happening here as well. We got like faster attacks. Faster attacks is better than focused ballista most of the time, unless you're doing like unless you want to like burst damage, right? Like the total DPS is gonna be bigger if you have like 100% uptime if you're using focused ballista, but it's not such a big difference, and the faster attacks allows you to just drop the totems and they stack the wither and they do the calling before you even attack, and you can reposition your character and you're not losing any DPS. So this is the setup that I'm running here, but everything is going to be in the description. So let's go back to the strategy. I basically crafted this bow and got the where it is, Enlighten 4, and that was like the only 2 major upgrades that I did to this character. I have here just a random jewels so that I can have like extra AoE. These cluster jewels were all like pretty cheap, and during composure with some extra chaos res. And this small one with attributes, you want like intelligence, strength, all attributes, chaos res. Those are the extra small bonuses that you want on your small passives on the cluster jewels. The bow is very classic Toxic Rain bow. It costs about 8 divines to craft it. Depending on the price of the Hunter's Exalt, but assuming Hunter's Exalt around 1 Exalt, or around 1 Divine. So it costs about 8 divines to craft this, and it's a very simple deterministic process. Basically, first you roll the 18% attack speed, which can be done with an essence, and you can also roll a damage over time multiplier if you want. You can check on Craft of Exile the respective level requirements for that, and then you make it rare and annul down to that 1 mod. Once you have the 1 mod, the increased attack speed, for example, then what you do is you can have up to 3 crafted modifiers. Then you craft cannot roll attack modifiers, and then you do Exalt and Hunter's Exalt. And that's going to guarantee +1 to level of socketed gems on the prefix, because you only have prefixes open and you cannot roll any attack mods, and that's the only non-attack mod. And then you're going to go Hunter's Exalt, and the only mod you can get is the increased chaos damage over time, which of course, classic me, I get the lowest tier possible. So if you want to get the higher one, you can just finish crafting this bow, sell it, and then continue crafting until you get the good one. But I didn't want to bother. It's good enough to clear everything I need. So that's it. And then we, again, remove crafted modifiers, put 3 crafted mods, +2 to level of socketed support gems and chaos damage over time multiplier. And then you can also do something like enchant it with harvest for extra attack speed or extra AoE, whatever you need. So that's basically the 2 big upgrades that I did. This allowed me to have enough damage with Empower level 3 so that I can very, very comfortably clear everything that I need without any issues, without struggling. The character feels really good. And then the Enlighten allowed me to also put Determination, which I still cannot level to maximum level, need to get a little bit of extra strength, but it doesn't really matter. It's already a big difference. I'm not dying, so I'm completely happy with this. So we're running Grace, Determination, and Malevolence. And then for flasks, I'm running basically just full armor, just so that I can have as much armor as possible. And with the flasks, if I like spam all my flasks, as I'm doing most of the time as I'm running, I got 18,000 armor and then 70,000 evasion. We're suppression capped, and at that point the character is just blasting through T16s very, very quickly. So what is the strat in terms of the Atlas? I progressed the Atlas, I think on during the weekend. Basically I just completed the Atlas. And we got 2 Void Stones. 2 Void Stones is all you need for this strategy, because you want to have good T16s like Jungle Valley and Mesa that are connected, that you can quickly farm simple layouts where you can just kill some monsters, pick up all the smugglers' caches, kill the boss if you want to progress this or drop some extra loot, and just move on to the next map, right? It should take you like maximum 2 minutes, and you just move through these maps very quickly. And 2 watchstones, the 2 void stones you need for the sextants. So the sextants I'm using are exactly the same as before, as always, the contract implicit and the extra smuggler's cache. And in terms of the Atlas tree, I'm going to link the Atlas tree that I'm using in the description below as well. We're using the 7th gate in order to access the heist cache craft on the map device. We're blocking everything because we will literally never interact with any mechanics. I saw, I think, like a short video on YouTube from Zizeran from like 6 months ago. I think it was like an old video from maybe like 9 months ago, I don't know, where he was saying how like these nodes are useless and nobody should ever take them unless they're juicing very, very hard. I completely disagree with that statement. I don't know if he changed his mind since then, but these are basically like mandatory for doing this. Like there's no reason not to pick them up because we will never interact with any of these other mechanics. You will not make as much currency from the mechanics that you're not scaling as you will from the mechanics that you are scaling, right? So I have like super optimized heist, character perfect for heist, rogues leveled, all the rogue gear, all the setup, all the reveals, like everything I need. So I will make way more money with that setup from heist than from just killing essences, right? Killing an essence or doing abyss or doing a legion is gonna be just a complete waste of time. The opportunity cost of the time that you're gonna spend on doing like a random expedition when you're not scaling anything on the tree for it, when you don't have a good build for it, is just a complete waste of time. I would never interact with it if it's spawned for free in my map. Like literally you're supposed to skip everything like that. So that's why we're blocking everything except for smugglers' caches. We're picking up every single node that can increase the amount of blueprints and contracts we're getting. We're getting hack and maps, we're getting increased chance for deception contracts, we're getting level 3 contracts so we can run more Jana contracts, and picking up everything here. And then since I'm spamming maps, I'm picking up also June missions, which in the beginning, if you want to do betrayal, you can also pick betrayal nodes, but instead of betrayal nodes, I opted into picking remnants of the past and vivid memories for extra synth maps and extra guardian maps, because I'm killing the bosses at the end of the map. I like doing that. It's like gets extra loot, you get extra map sustain. It's very, very easy to sustain maps, and I just sold today, I think, like full stashed up like 72 like Jungle Valley T16 maps, because I'm just simply overflowing with maps, even though I barely kill, like I don't even clear the entire map, and I'm not putting any extra monsters in it, right? Because we also get a lot of maps from heist. So we're farming our own blueprints and contracts and rogue markers in this. At the beginning of the league, the good thing about doing the quest is also that the quests completion allows you to do the unique contracts, right? You get unique contract drops from your smuggler's caches if you complete the green quests. The unique contracts earlier on were worth a decent amount. I'm still selling for like 25 chaos, I think, the twins, because it drops the amulet. I dropped 1 amulet from the twins that I sold for like 1 divine. And then also I am selling, we have these contracts that are basically useless that I'm selling. The Heart of Glory, it drops a helmet that is the fledgling is very popular for like tornado shot builds. So people were paying a lot for this. It was like going for like a divine. So I sold a bunch of them, run these, like I run like 10 of these, but they very rapidly go down in price. So you need to do this early on in the league. This contract alone was like 50-60 chaos, and now this contract costs like 5 chaos, right? And you might not even sell it for 5 chaos. So this is the stuff that I'm farming, and these are the contracts that have all of these enchants that are basically deemed not worthy even running, right? I just started another batch, but since I just got the Mageblood, I decided to, like, you know, stop my farm and make the video. We'll farm later, we'll get some good flasks, we'll get the good trinket. The trinket that you want early on, the most important one is actually the smuggler's caches have 10% chance to duplicate contain rogue markers. This basically gives you 10% more rogue markers found in your maps, and that's going to add up to multiple divines over a long period of time. So that is an important one. And then another trinket I have is a very budget trinket, so it has 15% chance for alterations to drop as chaos, which is the maximum roll of T1, chance to duplicate basic currency, and then also additional chance to receive divination cards when opening reward chests and delve items when opening reward chests. You get extra div cards, you get extra fossils and resonators. This adds up to a good amount of currency, so it's definitely worth having something like that rather than, for example, like, you know, 2% regal to divine, right? This is going to be probably a little bit stronger than that if you have like 4 strong mods on it. But eventually the chaos to divine is the best trinket that you can have by far. So after farming stuff in the maps, we go to heist, and I basically recommend you check the heist guide that I have, the criminal seminar. I'm also going to link that in the description, because basically every single question that I've been asked during the week that I streamed this farm was pretty much the same, and the answer is the same, right? People are asking, how is the new heist? How is the new heist? Is it bad? Is it good? What's different? And the answer is like, functionally, it is exactly the same as before, right? Functionally, unless you are one of those people who just run, you know, make the Pathfinder character that cannot kill anything and just brainlessly run for the end reward and go back. If you are doing that, then sure, like now it's not going to be probably as good unless you get lucky, right? Because the rate of very good rewards is not that good. The average amount that you get for an end reward would be like 30 chaos, right? Over like a longer period of time, over like, let's say, I don't know, like 100 or 200 wings. I recorded some of the data and it came up to be about like 30 chaos, but that includes like really, really big drops as well, right? That includes, for example, I had a ring that I sold for, it was like almost 6 divines. I split it, so it was like almost 12 divines. So that was the biggest thing I dropped. The belts were selling for a couple divines as well, the ones that increase flask effect, and those were like the biggest drops. I found, for example, 5 divines, right? But a lot of the time you simply have like 20 scours and replica uniques worth like 5 chaos at most, right? So on average it's going to be like 20-30 chaos, but you need to run a lot of them in order to get some of the most valuable things. In terms of like evaluating blueprints and everything like that, I'm basically running stuff like this. So this is like a fully revealed one that has 7 currency rewards, 5 div card rewards, and it has a bunch of Harbinger and a fragment reward. So the tiering of these is pretty much exactly the same as before, right? Maps are by far the best, right? So if you have map rewards, this one doesn't have it, but if you have map rewards, by far the best room, definitely counts as like an S tier or like tier 1 plus, right? But like an S tier reward. Then we have tier 1 rewards, which would be the currency and the div cards. The currency becomes a little bit better when you have the divine trinket, right? The chaos to divine trinket. Then we have like a B tier would be something like fragments. I got a bunch of like currency selling, for example, offerings to the goddess. They were for like 3 chaos each before, and I sold like a couple hundred of them. So I got multiple divines worth of that. We got these fragments, we got scarabs. I got, I think, about 8 divines worth of scarabs that I got from these rooms. So definitely adds up. Then we also have ultimatum. Ultimatum is like not very much recommended. I wouldn't really bother unveiling it, but if you have like a full revealed blueprint, then you can enter that. Gems are decent. I made a lot of divines on gems. I made a lot of divines on GCPs, sold like, I don't know, maybe like 10 divines worth of GCPs, and probably like a couple divines or at least worth of gems, because you get 20% quality and level 20 gems. And whenever I trade, I just lower the price of a tab, and I have it at like 9 chaos. I put it down to like 5 chaos, sell a bunch of them, and that's like extra 100, extra 200 chaos whenever I'm trading and sitting in hideout and selling other things as well, right? So basically farming these blueprints, I would definitely focus on the best blueprints, which means stuff that has a lot of good rewards, a lot of high tier reward rooms. The end reward is not necessarily that worth it, right? I wouldn't focus on the number of wings, I would focus on the quality of wings, right? You want to run the best wings possible, not necessarily the most amount of wings, right? Because again, the average time for you to get like a big drop is gonna be very, very long. And you can also get big drops. Like the biggest drop that I got in heist was, I think, the corrupted headhunter card, which goes for like 14 divines. And I found this from just a divination card, like a side room, right? And these things drop like Sephiroth. I dropped like 4 or 5 Sephiroth cards and a bunch of other cards that sell for a lot of currency. So these things give you a lot compared to the end rewards. Although, of course, the end rewards are good, but you definitely want to focus on the efficiency and just picking up as good blueprints as possible. If you have a certain amount of rewards, you definitely should consider splitting them as well. I would say like if it's like 15 plus like T1 rewards, for sure split that, and basically you can decide that for yourself whether it's worth your time or not. You basically pay a certain amount for the blueprint and you decide if you think it's worth it or not. So that's basically the strategy, right? I just kept running heist, kept selling everything from heist, buying. I think I got my setup done on Monday, or maybe like on Sunday, and then I decided, okay, on Monday I'm gonna start and I'm gonna just go for the Mageblood and I'm gonna farm 1 card a day. Today got a couple of more expensive drops. One was like the 14 divines, one was the rings. So I finished 1 day early, right? I planned to finish it tomorrow. I finished it today. So it was 4 days to farm Mageblood in a league mechanic that people were saying is completely nerfed, right? So clearly that wasn't the case. The build itself is, I'm gonna show you maybe just a random map. So let's just enter just any random map, T16, whatever, Crimson Temple. Let's go. This is like a corrupted Crimson Temple with a bunch of mods. It's like an 8 mod corrupted Crimson Temple. Probably should have sold that because that's actually something that people look for. But we just run through the mobs. You can drop the totems if you have like some bigger pack, but it's a very simple playstyle. You don't wait for the mobs to die, you just move past them. We have 100% phasing. Wait, let me turn this on. We have phasing, 100% suppression. We have decent defenses. We have a very fast character. My movement speed with Huck and his auras is like, I don't know, 370% bonus movement speed or something. So not the highest yet, but we're gonna get there. Okay, I wonder what mods are on this. Let's see. This boss is deciding to run. Where is he? Sanguine Siren. This build does not have a lot of... that's why I kill bosses. This build does not have a lot of single target damage, but that's why, you know, we don't need it for heist. We all need to not die and be fast and be able to kill stuff, right? It's like, as long as I'm able to kill stuff, I'm able to kill some weird rares, magic mobs and all of that heist stuff. I'm able to farm my contracts quickly. I'm able to clear the maps. I'm not dying, right? So I'm level 97 by running usually just like Alkengo maps. So the character is basically perfectly suited for that. However, I'm pretty tired of Toxic Rain, so I'm gonna be thinking of a new heist character and probably using my Mageblood in order to make that a little bit stronger. And that's gonna be basically what I'm gonna be focusing on next, trying to figure out what's gonna be the next character that is gonna conquer heist. I have some ideas. If you have any other ideas for like heist characters that could be really good with a little bit of currency, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, you can also check out the previous videos, the stuff that I linked in the description. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.